Ridley Scott's Alien has stood the test of time in the sci-fi and horror genres, after spurring 7 sequels with Alien Romulus on the way coming out August 16th. It's left audiences terrified of the Xenomorph for 45 years now. When this film was remastered in 4K and put in theaters, I knew my time to watch it had come. Hello, and welcome to Studio Cinema Saturday, the show where we review movies old and new, the ones you don't like and the ones that you do. I'm your host, Cal McCall, and today I'm reviewing Ridley Scott's 1979 Alien. When this film was remastered, put into 4K, and sent back out into theaters, I knew my time to watch it had come. This film's a horror classic, beloved by many, and somehow I had gone my whole life without seeing it. The first thing that I want to say is that the 4K restoration they've done is on par with Star Wars. The Star Wars you watch on Blu-ray, the Star Wars you watch on Disney Plus, is some of the best 4K remastering I've ever seen in my life, by far. What makes it even better is that I got to watch this movie in theaters. It's an amazing theater experience. The atmosphere created, going to another planet, searching through this alien ship, staying on the ship the entire time, the sound design, amongst the cinematography and the acting, it's all so well put together that when you get that theater experience, you're getting that full experience of the movie. And I will say, I'm a huge advocate of going to see a movie in theaters just so that your money is going more towards the filmmakers, and this is just an awesome theater experience. You really do get to experience the whole effect of the film. I'm gonna go ahead and get into some spoilers here and talk about the plot. I really liked it. I'm really into it the entire time. Once Ash is revealed to be a robot and the Xenomorph is fully grown, you are in a horror thriller that checks all of my boxes. I really love the back 45 minutes to an hour of this movie. The first hour, kind of getting to know the crew, is just a little bit slower, although I don't have a huge problem with this. I do like to get to know the characters that we're watching, and I do appreciate knowing the characters once you get to the end and you're seeing all of them die. When the Xenomorph is going one by one and just kind of killing everybody, it's just fun to watch, truly. The climax of the film that features Ripley escaping the Xenomorph is really, really, really cool. You've kind of got this strobe light going on, is really fun. Just a lot of fun looks, a lot of thrills here. Some of the highlights of the film, for me, in my first time watching it, were obviously the climax with Ripley. I really enjoyed the mystery of them finding out there's no alien on his face anymore, and that looping into, well, here's one coming out of his stomach in this really gross scene. That was really fun to watch and had me on the edge of my seat. Another thing I really liked was the mother entity that the ship ran off of, that they were asking questions to, and eventually it leads to the Team Expendable line that is on the computer when Ripley realizes that they are there to actually bring this alien back, and one of the twists of the film. I really liked that. Another aspect I really liked was Jonesy the cat that's kind of running around giving life to the film. Jonesy is the first one to see the full-sized alien. That's an extremely haunting moment when the cat runs away and they're like, oh shit. Other highlights include the scene where they discover the alien ship and you get the alien latching on to Kane. It's a really good inciting incident to the film. I also just enjoyed the characters and the setting and the sound in general. It's all really working for me. To move on from the story, the cinematography is wonderful. You get tons of sweeping tracking shots throughout the ship, and it just complements the crew, the music. It all blends together really well, and they're also use different techniques to make the film scary. They'll cut to stills, they'll get close on faces to see reactions. Ultimately, they just have a lot working for them, and they're using the cinematography to build a lot of suspense and pair with the music. So Yeah, this film is just really well made. Ridley Scott knew exactly what he wanted out of all of these filmmaking aspects. And like I just kind of said, this is all complemented by a really good soundtrack and music track, but there were things that I loved about the soundtrack. There's a bit of the ship that just had chains kind of hanging from the top of it. And not only did it make the setting look really cool and kind of eerie, but these chains are constantly dangling and making a little noise. And I don't know, it just kind of made me feel at times like the xenomorph was moving throughout the ship and just brought life to the eerie atmosphere of the ambience in the track. So I want to talk about my viewing of the film just a little bit. I was lucky enough to go see this in theaters at AMC for its 45th anniversary. And, you know, one thing I'll say is that 45 years of a film, you would think you're gonna stop hearing about it, but they are still making films in this franchise, and Alien is still a classic amongst horror. And now that I've seen the film, I totally see why. The 45th anniversary special screening featured a little conversation documentary between Ridley Scott and Fede Alvarez, who's directing Alien Romulus, so it was really cool just to see the original director and the new director kind of exchanging notes just a little bit, but they go into how the film was made, and Ridley Scott talks about how he never wanted to make sci-fi films, and then Kubrick comes out with 2001: A Space Odyssey. This is one of those moments where he realizes, oh, with these elaborate set pieces, you're able to do sci-fi without all the effects, and people are now kind of practically shooting sci-fi when this has never been done before, and it makes the whole genre limitless to a degree if you can just build what you need, and it does so on screen. But then he talks about Star Wars and how it furthered on this a whole lot, and now after Star Wars, I mean, you see things like Alien come out where this is just common practice at this point to use this style of shooting sci-fi films. I'm a huge fan of all the movies listed, Star Wars, 2001, and one of the other films that he cited, and he uses 2001 and Star Wars for his sci-fi inspirations, but he talks about The Exorcist and how gross it was, and how ultimately The Exorcist being so gross is why he was able to include the scene of the xenomorph coming out of Kane's stomach, and that being so gross. It's one of those things where audiences were having physical reactions to this kind of stuff. It hadn't really been seen that much in theaters yet. Studios were not very fond of putting this amount of graphic violence and just grossness in the film, but Ridley Scott's response to this is, how can horror be too gross? Which I think this is really cool, and I think that scene totally works in the film and adds a whole level of suspense and thrill. And I would even go as far as saying that Alien has since pushed some of these things, like the way we shoot sci-fi films, the way we hold the monster back in horror films, and see it at the end and have this little duel. It's definitely not the first film to do something like this, but it does kind of play into the trope and push that even further. And I would say that Alien does just in general push a lot of these filmmaking aspects further, and it's crucial to the development of later films, and that is kind of a testament to the franchise still making films too. They have kind of stood the test of time here. I had a great time watching this film. It's an amazing sci-fi piece, it's an amazing horror piece, especially for 1979. This film hasn't aged a day. It seems that all I have left to do though is score the film. But before I do that, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, go comment your score out of 10 below so I know you made it this far in the video. Or, the xenomorph will come for you when you go to bed tonight. He will kill you. He might even approach your family. I only take points off because the intro to the film is slow, and there are very few things that do date the film, like the xenomorph coming out of the ship at the end, and with that being the resolution to the climax of this whole film, That slightly disappointed me just a little bit, but the rest of the film looks absolutely amazing. Most of this film looks better than films we see today, especially in the restored 4K, don't get me wrong here. But my final score is an 8.5 out of 10. And that's a really good score. We've given some really good films an 8.5 on the channel before, so I really do like this score. I really do like this movie. We hope that you'll come back for more Studio Cinema Saturday in the future. We also do Television Tuesday. We've done Game of Thrones, Avatar The Last Airbender. I'm going to be doing House of the Dragon. We've done Invincible. Go check out some of that content. We make short films as well. They Took Her just came out, so go give that a watch, and I'll see you there.